Welcome everyone to, I believe, episode 21 now of Anchors Away. Unfortunately, episode 20, my mic was all messed up, so hopefully we've got that figured out, and it'll be a lot smoother of audio for today, which is always the goal and the hope. This episode might be a little bit shorter. Realistically, we got about 2 quarters worth of information compared to when we started to, do this new format, having 4 quarters. This week or today's might be 2, which is completely fine, as we're going into a pretty busy weekend, and Mariners only played a couple games. Seahawks haven't played. Sounders, their season's pretty much all done. Kraken training camp started today, so that one is going to start coming into the mix quite a bit here going forward. Right. But with that said, let's of course do the intros. How are you doing? I know tomorrow I will be driving up, or I guess when this comes out today, I'll be driving up to Kentucky, so looking forward to that. But anything I should know about going on in Louisville?
Yeah, as far as going in Louisville, of course, starting tonight, louder than thunder or whatever. Louder Than Life festival is on. So the next 4 days. So luckily we're away from that section of town, so you shouldn't run into anything there. But that's the big thing going on. Of course, we're going to go see the final game of our minor league affiliate, the Bats.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're going to be packing out the joint there, so that'll be fun. And then just kind of around here, we are primarily a college town with the University of Louisville, so they're getting a little bit jazzed up on basketball.
Yeah.
Otherwise, weather was great. Should be great as well for the weekend. Definitely not as hot as yesterday, so looking forward to that. So far so good. It's been nice, so we'll take it. How about yourself, sir?
Yeah, not too bad up here, or down here, I guess. Weather's been nice. It's starting to cool off a little bit, which has been good or bad depending who you ask. But overall, well, can't complain at all.
And I forgot to ask you on the last show, but you had went to your first Clemson game.
Right? Yeah, we did go to Clemson last week against Louisiana Tech. I'm not impressed.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It was a little bit of a disappointing experience. I guess the run down the hill is kind of cool, but it's not like something that, I don't know. Like, honestly, I liked South Carolina's better.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Out of the college stadiums I've been to now, if it's just purely based stadium, Clemson Stadium is nice. But I like to take into consideration all of the whole atmosphere of the stadium. UW would be number 1 because the view, the stadium, the amenities that the stadium provides. Like, they're the only one that has an actual team store at the stadium.
Oh,
which I found which is interesting.
Yeah.
Parking is available because I think partly because it is pretty much downtown. And every restaurant business is park here for $20 or whatever. Like, you don't have an issue parking there.
Okay.
Second would be South Carolina. They installed kind of like the T-Mobile Park LED lights, and their light show is legit at night.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, if we went during a day game, my answers might be a little bit different.
Sure.
But for a night game, that is such a cool environment to go to, and it felt like a real SEC stadium, which was really interesting. And then third, I'd honestly put Kentucky over Clemson.
Wow.
Yeah. The stadium sucks at Kentucky, but the overall being able to get into the stadium, that was a big thing with Clemson. There's no signage. So we went to one gate, and they're like, you can't enter here. You have to go to the special gate for where you're sitting. It's like, okay, this is getting ridiculous. And then, once we get up there, I got pretty much 2 offensive linemen sitting next to me, taking up the whole bench, and it was just we ended up leaving super early.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Because we couldn't sit comfortably. Now, if we were to go, if we went back, and I think eventually we'll just get high up seats and just kind of enjoy the view.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, it was disappointing. The stadium is cool, but the overall game day experience was pretty poor in my opinion.
Okay.
But yeah, so we did do that. But on a better note, the Mariners picked up a W today. So let's talk about that.
Finally.
Yeah, so let's get this timer started here. Like you said, fortunately, they finally won after who knows how long it feels like. All right, timer is up, and it is now on screen, so let's talk about it.
Okay.
George Kirby pitched tonight. Did not go well. 2.1 innings, I think. Yeah, 2.1, 5 runs. Turned into a bullpen game. Unfortunately, our bullpen pitched lights out. But I think like kind of the big news here is Jared Kelenic got called back up and kind of had a day. 2 for 3, 1 home run, looks like 2 RBIs. What are we expecting out of Kelenic in this final push? I mean, granted, last year, that final month, he was one of the best Mariner hitters. So what are you looking for out of him going forward here as we push for these final couple series?
Yeah, over the next 13, I would love this to be similar to a rookie call-up with another team last year in the last few games. And you probably are picking up what I'm saying here. Matty Beniers.
Oh, with the Kraken. Yep, okay.
Right. Matty came up, what was it, 10 games?
Yep, 10.
9 points.
Yep.
Didn't expect it, but he was rocking. If this is an indication of what Kelenic is going to do, we're in great shape. What can you? But maybe timing is everything at points, because he was already hitting down at AAA. It was what, 350 or something like that.
Yeah, it was a really good number.
Good
line across the board.
Exactly. And so, when he got in the game yesterday, didn't do too much, and then he comes in and really, I think the approach that he had on the double, more than the home run, but the double was, he was 3-0, I think, at that point. Prior to him going down, I think that 3-0 would have been a strikeout.
Okay.
Before he went down to Tacoma. I think now he's kind of looking at his pitches. He isn't thinking about too much. He's just out there looking for his pitch, and he's going to hit it. And I think he doesn't have all of the pressure that he had on him at the beginning of the season, which was, okay, Julio's raking. He's doing great. That should be me. All of the things that humanly, things would happen had to have been going on in his mind. So I think having him go down to AAA and forgetting about everybody up here for a while was probably the best thing for the kid. And he's still guarded. I don't know if you saw the interview after the game or not, but he was just like not up. He's still very focused and very serious. Okay. I'm hoping Julio can get that out of him to make him play a little bit instead of being so serious. And I think that might be his issue, is if they can get to him and crack him up a little bit.
Yeah, that point specifically makes me a little bit nervous for him.
Yeah.
Because this, like you said, this team, well, not like really, but this team and like Eugenio, Julio, like all these guys just like to have fun. Right. And I don't know if like a locker room fit, if he's just going to be serious the whole time and not enjoy himself. Like, is he really going to long-term fit with kind of these cornerstone players that will have turned into cornerstone players for the Mariners? The other kind of point that you brought up, which I agree with, is seeing Julio turn into what Kelenic thought he was going to be. That really felt like it was an issue for him, because I think people thought Julio would be good, not this good though. Right. And Kelenic had the expectation he was going to be Julio good.
Right.
So to see your like counterpart do what you're supposed to, I think that would mess with him. And like you said, it's human nature to want to have that success, and every day Julio continues to do better and better, and you see that, and I could see that being frustrating, and maybe keeping those two separated for the year was probably the best thing. Speaking of Julio, though, this lower back tightness, he got pulled again today. Does that worry you at all? We're getting down to the wire, and if we're gonna try and do anything in the playoffs, I think he's really needed for that lineup.
Yeah, I think they need to kind of pull him back a bit. I wouldn't mind him not playing at all in the Kansas City series.
Yeah.
I think they need to get him right first. And hopefully they will. I mean, if Kelenic can keep on it, and that's what I would do. I wouldn't put Julio in the next game. I'd have Kelenic in there and see what he does. If he's able to get a couple of hits or whatever, get some hits in the game, I'd keep Julio out as many games as possible without losing the season, so to speak.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. I think you have enough outfield depth right now where he can sit and you'll be just fine. With that said, though, that is the quarter. So on to another sport and, to the second quarter.
Yeah.
All right. Seahawks hosting the Atlanta Falcons and Marcus Mariota. Essentially a homecoming for him, playing at Oregon, winning a Heisman, kind of being the Pacific Northwest quarterback of the colleges there for a good amount of time. What are we thinking? Atlanta, could be 2-0, at least 1-1. They should have beat New Orleans, and they started to really make a push against LA towards the end of that game. Right now it's a little bit like the Seattle-Denver game where all the analysts are picking Atlanta to win, which I don't blame them. Seattle hasn't scored in 6 quarters. So, initial kind of thoughts on this matchup, back at home, which is at least a good thing. What's your thoughts, right now?
Just looking at the first 2 games, there's a reason why Atlanta's favored.
Yep.
I mean, seriously. When looking at the Seahawks over the first 2 games, I was hoping to see some differences. Maybe not so much on the offense because it's Waldron.
Yeah, same coordinator from last year. Yep.
Same coordinator from last year, and we have Gino, who has been with the team, but
it's a different quarterback.
It's a different quarterback, and they're going to be careful on what they call.
Yeah,
I get it. But again, I would have expected to see some more tight end play. I would have expected to see some more dynamic stuff instead of these trick play calls that they threw in there that should have never been called in the first place.
Yeah.
So a little concerned there, but I'll give them some. I'll let them move up. I'm not too worried because they have an offensive line this year, for gosh sake. So you would expect them to be able to do something offensive wise. They haven't gotten Metcalf at all in this game in the offense yet. In the place that they have gotten to, unfortunately, we had a penalty called.
Yeah.
So I mean, it would have looked a lot better, but penalties are bad. So offensive wise, I just don't know. Defense is where I expected to see a huge change, and I haven't seen it. They're not aggressive. They're not doing a lot of stunts or.
Oh. Well, it might have been his internet connection that dropped.
Oh. You're still there.
Yeah, I'm still here, but you completely froze.
Oh, okay. Am I still frozen?
No, you're good now. I can hear you and I can see you now. But yeah, for a solid little bit there, you were just completely frozen.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
So what about the defense? Not attacking, no stunting, not just kind of the same old from last year.
Same old, yeah. And of course they're getting burned over the middle. But what's interesting is the inside linebackers are not blitzing at all. They haven't blitzed at all in the 2 games.
No.
Which concerns me, especially if you have Brooks and Barton. They have speed. I mean, Barton has shown to get in the backfield.
Yeah, he had a sack against Russ in week 1.
Yeah. Very predictable again. It's frustrating when you can actually call a game better than your own coordinators that are getting paid out there. I think the one bright spot, as far as on the line, is probably Nwosu. I think he's the only guy who's actually doing some stunting. And, he's the only guy, but he's a new guy to the team. So what does that tell you? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, whatever they're teaching, like the homegrown players, isn't working. Let's kind of go back to the offense a bit. Pete Carroll came out this week, said it's time to. They've been too conservative with Gino, and if they really think he's the guy, then let it open up. Like you said, he's been here since 2020, and this might be the week to do that. Do have a couple stats here on the pass defense for Atlanta. I would expect for them to go after A.J. Terrell hard. Last week, he was targeted 5 times. The ball was caught 5 times, and 5 of those catches went for 2 touchdowns. And that goes back to week 1 as well. Pretty similar numbers for him being thrown against by Jameis. So, and both of these teams have elite receivers, being Michael Thomas, who came back, and then Cooper Kupp last week. We have DK Metcalf, who is being paid like an elite receiver. So I would expect, to try and get that matchup. They'll probably move DK around a good bit. Casey Hayward is also a little bit weaker as a corner, but he's playing a lot better than Terrell is. So I would hope to see, some offensive game plan towards Terrell. And then overall, the pass defense is not good for Atlanta. Stafford is a very good quarterback. I get that. But 272 yards given up and a 100 quarterback rating to Stafford. So this is the week for Seattle to let Geno loose and see what we really have in him. If we don't, that's going to be a big issue. And hopefully the run game opens up a little more. I don't mind some of the Wildcat stuff, but it did not work at all against San Francisco because they run that too, and that defense knew what was going to happen,
Yeah.
So, and then we kind of mentioned in the pass rush and trying to get things to change a little bit here. Atlanta's offensive line is not that good. 3 sacks given up last week, 6 quarterback hits / hurries. So again, I would hope to see some more blitzing, like you said, mix it up because obviously our defense is not working. And San Francisco carried the ball 45 times for 189 yards, so they were not worried at all with additional pressure coming off the second level there by the linebackers. I'm a little bit nervous for this one because I don't think Seattle's going to stay true to their word of letting Geno go. I don't think they're going to change anything in the defense. For whatever reason, they still love the cover 3. I went back and watched the coach's film for the touchdown pass to the tight end, and it's very apparent there's no communication on that defense when it comes to the coverage. I think a lot of people.
That's gone back years.
Yeah, it's gone back ever since the LOB really broke up. It's failed.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think a lot of people blame Tarek Woolen there, but he played it right. He did the right thing. There was just no communication. Because, he was the deep guy. His guy came across. He followed him, and that's what you should do on a cover 3. But it just, whatever they're doing, it's not working. But, they're at least at home. And eventually this quarter non-touchdown streak is going to have to end eventually. So hopefully that ends this week.
Hopefully the first quarter.
Hopefully the first quarter. Let's get a touchdown, at least a field goal, something.
Right. Something,
because now it has been 6 quarters without any points from the offense. But that is, of course, our time for the second quarter. And realistically, it's turned into a decent length episode. Lots to worry about with the Mariners because it feels a little bit like they're going to do what they do every year. But Baltimore is going to have to go on a tear with Houston, New York, Boston, and I think Toronto, you said. Are their Final Four series. So at least strength of schedule wise, we have it a lot easier. And then,
I mean, I did some breaking down of, what we would have to do. And for instance, Seattle so far has only won 1 game against the LA and 1 game against Oakland. So let's just say they're in a funk and all they're going to do is win 1 game out of the next series all the way across. Right. So they go against Seattle, they go 1-2, or Kansas City, they go 1-2, Texas, they go 1-2, the A's, they go 1-2, and then against Detroit, they go 1-3, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if they do that, that's 4-9 over the next 13 games. It would leave us with a record, which is just crazy, of 82-67. So if we ended up with 82-67, Baltimore, in order to overtake us, is going to have to go 10-4 against those 4 teams that you were talking about: Houston, Boston, New York, and Toronto. They're not going to run 10-4 against those 4 teams.
No, I mean,
so even at probably our worst, winning only 1 game over the next 4 series, which I doubt we'll probably win more than 1, but just taking that as a consideration, I think we're okay. I think we're in the playoffs. We may not have any home games the first round, but we're in the playoffs, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it at least makes you feel better. If with that being the case, I just feel like I could see them go 0-12, and all of a sudden they're done. So, just based on the track record and
just going back to history,
my life of being a Mariner fan, I got 2001, and that was about it. So
yeah.
And then, so then we got Seattle hosting Atlanta this week, so it should be a good weekend. UW obviously hosts Stanford, which makes me nervous. Yep, I think they're going to be out of the rankings after this week. Hopefully not. Hopefully they can slide up a little bit more, but it still makes me nervous. With that said, though, anything that you want to finish wrapping up before we end this episode?
Just kind of a weird kind of time of the year.
Yeah.
Of course, with the Kraken starting up, like I said, with their training camp right now and getting ready for preseason next week.
Yep.
We'll start talking a little bit more about the Kraken, so that'll help give us a little bit of coverage during this time. But just it'll be an interesting weekend. Of course, the Mariners will kind of do what they've always done and make us sweat it out till the very end. Yep. It looks like, but I'm liking our chances. But to your point, anything's possible with those guys. Holy cow!
Yep, with them, and especially baseball, you just never know.
Never know.
Yep.
That's why they have to play the games.
Yep. Man. Grim way to end it, but that's how we're going to end it. So thank you everybody for watching, and hopefully the audio issues were a little bit better this week. Go ahead, like, subscribe, and comment. Let us know what you like, what you don't like, and we will see you all in the next episode of Anchors Away.
Have a good one.